What is good with the YouTube fight fans all over the world? It's your boy, the realest of the real. Yes, sir, I said it, Real Talk Boxing. It is a privilege, an honor, and a major blessing to be back with you beautiful people yet again. I want to talk about something that I ran across on Boxing News 24 today, which I just don't necessarily feel like is true. I just don't see this person conducting themselves like this because that's not their demeanor. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, it's news. And listen, y'all, just because content creators put out news first doesn't mean it's necessarily true. I've made the mistake on jumping on something and trying to be the first to put it out there, and then it just so happens not to even be true. It's not a good look. I'm guilty of it. I do my best not to do that anymore. But sometimes all news is not true news, okay? But let me read you guys something that I got from Boxing News 24. Roy Jones Jr. says Errol Spence Jr. refused to shake his hand after he predicted that Crawford would beat him last weekend. Jones says Spence should have asked him how he could beat Crawford because he would have gave him some very vital information, but it never happened. As things turned out, Roy's prediction was correct, with Crawford defeating Spence by a 9th round TKO and dropping him 3 times in a fight that was never competitive. Jones Jr. says he picked Crawford to win because he's capable of doing multiple things in the ring, and the former unified welterweight champion Spence could only fight one way. In other words, Spence is one-dimensional. I don't know, dude. I just don't know if Spence conducted himself like that. But let's just say hypothetically he did. Let's speak on it like that, right? It's not a good look. It's one thing to disagree with someone's opinion. And I say this all the time on my channel, y'all. Why do people get upset about someone's personal opinion? A personal opinion doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. Doesn't necessarily mean that that person's right. They're just viewing a situation and speaking on it. Sometimes we speak out the side of our neck. Sometimes we speak out of our butt. But it's an opinion nevertheless. Everybody has them, right? So why get upset? But, well, you're entitled to get upset. Put it that way. I just don't understand why. But to not shake a man's hand because he thinks that you're not capable of beating another fighter, it's just not a good look. Roy Jones viewed the situation. Roy Jones looked at Crawford and said he has more tools in his arsenal, and Errol Spence doesn't. Now, this isn't a hate video on Errol Spence. Yeah, if you don't know by now, you should. If you don't know, I think you're crazy. I respect and love what Errol Spence does inside that ring and outside the ring, and I've always been a fan. Okay, he's a Texas native, like myself. Country boys, we go to the body. But he just hasn't shown anything in the past that would lead me to believe that he would treat Roy Jones that way just because Roy Jones thinks that he is not going to want to fight. Now, Crawford is a master of adapting and switching up. And Roy's right. He has a lot of tools in his arsenal. But for Errol Spence to get upset about that and not shake the man's hand, I think that's highly disrespectful if this is true. But I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm not saying it's not possible. Because people do get upset about people's opinion. I don't. That's your opinion. It is what it is. I've had people tell me before going into ring that I was going to get smashed. Matter of fact, back in 2006, I fought up pretty much a bodybuilder. This dude was huge. Outweighed me by dang near 30 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And it was like 2 feet taller than I was. No, I was 5'8". So, and he was like 6'1". Everybody on the way to the ring, walking to the ring, people were like, man, turn around, don't do it. And there was only 2 people in the arena knew that I was going to win that fight. Me and my brother. I got dropped twice in the first round. Within 40 seconds, I was on my butt twice. But guess what happened in the 3rd round? He got stopped. So people's opinion didn't matter to me, and it shouldn't have mattered to Errol Spence if this is true. I just don't see Errol Spence conducting himself like that. All news isn't true news, but if it is, exploit my interest, man. And I wanted to talk about it because, you know, Roy didn't do anything wrong. He didn't say anything wrong, you know. I mean, and Roy hasn't never, to my knowledge, said anything disrespectful or hateful towards Errol Spence Jr. You know, so that's why it's just so hard for me to believe that Spence would get upset about it and not shake the man's hand. You know, it's one thing to be upset, but to literally not, you know, embrace a man because of it, I just think it's trash, man. But, you know, it is what it is if this is true. But I want to know what you think about it, so comment down below. Let your boy Real Talk know. As always, respect all, fear none, and God bless. The next time Real Talk Boxing, I'm up and I'm out of here. Bing!